welcome to another edition of the Deals for Dentists podcast. And today we are joined by the CEO of the TeleDentists, Howard Reis, who is zooming in from Rockland County, New York. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. So you can go to dealsfordentist.com and you can find out how you can offer teledentistry as a service to your patients. So Howard, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
So can you tell us what teledentistry is and how your company helps dentists?
Sure. Teledentistry really is the practice of dentistry at a distance when the patient and the dentist is not in the same physical location. So if we go back in time, the first time a patient picked up a telephone and called a dentist and said, "Hey, doc, my tooth hurts," that's teledentistry. But we've come to define it as including a video component. So very similarly to like the conversation we're having today, it's now since the pandemic, the majority of people have had experience with telehealth. It's really telehealth for somebody with a dental problem. So if somebody has a broken tooth or bleeding gums or just a toothache, the ability to have a visual connection with a dentist. And what we do for the patient is to remediate the problem, prescribe, get a prescription sent to a local pharmacy. And then what's a little unique about our capability is we'll get that patient scheduled for a visit with an on-site dentist, usually the next business day.
Okay. Now, does your software integrate with practice management softwares like Dentrix and others to actually get an appointment, or is this through your website? How does that work?
We have access to the schedules of 50 to 60,000 dentists around the country. So it's actually done through a customer service rep function who will stay with the patient after they talk to the dentist and then work with those databases to get them scheduled.
Now, do you have dentists in all 50 states?
We have dentists that are licensed in all 50 states. The rule of telehealth is you need to have a license in the state where the patient presents. So many of our dentists, and we're encouraging that, now have multiple state licenses, but every patient will see a dentist that has a license in their state. And just since you mentioned the all 50, there is one state in the country where teledentistry is not permitted, so we're not, our service is not currently available in the state of Texas.
Texas. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, it's, did everything change for you on March 15th once COVID happened?
Everything changed. I mean, the good news is we had the infrastructure in place to respond, but patient volume increased significantly. Dentists came swarming to our site, and for all the dentists that are connected to the podcast, there were three reasons dentists came. First of all, they found us. They were home with nothing to do. They'd closed their practices. We do make our software available so a dentist can offer teledentistry to their own patients. So dentists found us either interested in using our software, working with us to help us with our patients, and then, like I said, they were just curious to know about the teledentists. The other thing that happened very significantly for us is that quickly after the pandemic started, we concluded agreements with both Cigna and Anthem to make the service available to their members through their portals. And that really put us on the map. And, we saw a tremendous surge in our, volume, certainly, through the summer. As dentist offices started to reopen, that has slowed down a bit, but it still remains at a pretty healthy pace.
Yeah, I mean, during I can't believe it's been almost a year. During the quarantine, ultimately teledentistry kept patients from having to go to the emergency room, which was a major benefit to the entire system for that patient, for that dentist, and it just um, you
And
know
we still want to keep patients from going to the emergency room. You can't find a dentist in the emergency room. And you go to the emergency room and you're going to be told, you'll get an antibiotic, maybe. You'll be told, go see your dentist tomorrow. And you'll end up with a bill for thousands of dollars. So, we can do, we can have that video connection. We can get them the antibiotic and save the patient and the system thousands of dollars.
so when did this company actually begin? It actually started before
Right. The
COVID. So
company
you're
actually started in 2016. It was founded by two dentists, actually a husband and wife team, and they built the an initial software product, but most significantly put together the network where there are dentists licensed in every state. And that's what really was attractive to the insurance companies, to have the network in place, up and running, and able to respond. So
okay.
a couple of years in the startup mode, and then kind of everything kind of hit the ground running literally a year ago now.
Yeah, I mean, telehealth and teledentistry is I think everyone knows about it now, but before COVID, uh, it had been around for many years in medicine, like radiology. Did you get started in other health professions
Yeah,
with this
I
type of?
actually did get started in radiology, where radiology was the first, really the first uh, medical modality where telemedicine was widely used. And I've had the opportunity to work for a couple of very successful teleradiology companies, and then 2 years ago joined the TeleDentists with the plan to bring to teledentistry some of the success that existed in radiology. Interestingly, one of the significant differences, and it talks about different types of telemedicine, radiology is asynchronous. You take a picture, you send it to the doctor. I mean, it may be very quick that the doctor gives his interpretation and sends it back. We can do that with teledentistry, but really the service we're providing is a synchronous real-time conversation. So you look at asynchronous and synchronous, those are really two of the various types of telehealth or telemedicine.
Now, is all of this, you have to be so careful nowadays with HIPAA compliancy. Is this all done through a secure portal through your platform?
We use a HIPAA compliant telehealth platform that's been commercially available for over 10 years. Interestingly, when the pandemic started, the rules were relaxed in terms of the mandate to use a HIPAA compliant platform. So it was okay, and it is still okay for somebody to have a video conversation using FaceTime or Zoom. But we expect that, as things go back to whatever the new normal is, there will be a real focus on making sure that there's a HIPAA compliant platform. There's
Okay,
some
because
other
you
things
can.
to do that you really can't do with FaceTime and Zoom. I mean, we do we create a patient record where we're able to schedule. We built into our system is the ability to e-prescribe, and again, those are not really available through just a commercial video conferencing system.
Yeah, I mean that is really a big difference from just having a phone call or FaceTime, is the fact that you can actually it's almost like you're an extension of the chart. You can e-prescribe. You see, patients showing you an abscess, you can get a prescription over to their pharmacy, and then you can actually get them in the schedule
Correct.
from that conversation. So,
And we can attach our notes to the patient chart.
okay. Okay.
And
So
there is
actually,
a note or, a record of every patient encounter. And now that teledentistry is reimbursable, the patient can take that note or the, information we provide and get reimbursed by their insurance company.
is that only with select insurance companies, or most on board
Most
now?
insurance companies now are reimbursing for teledentistry.
Okay. That's interesting.
And again, the ones we're working directly with, it's all done, without any paperwork involved. But again, most of the majors will reimburse for teledentistry.
Okay. And can I do this from my cell phone, my tablet, my laptop? And is it 24/7?
All the above, 24/7.
Okay. So actually, I wanted to ask you, and I want to get a lot more into the company, but you personally, you're the CEO of the company, correct?
Correct.
So I just, I started a website and I just called myself the CEO, but you're actually a real CEO. You were actually hired. Do you have an MBA? How do you become a CEO of a real company like the TeleDentist? Like what's your background?
I do have an MBA from NYU. Uh, and I've been in the telemedicine world for literally for 30 years. 30 years ago, I was working for 9X before 9X became Verizon, and I was working in their labs. And there was a bunch of computer scientists and engineers and me. So I was the project manager of a trial that 9X did with 4 of the Boston teaching hospitals. And again, that was largely largely in teleradiology. And that started a career for me at the intersection of telecom and healthcare. And like I said, I went to work for a regional teleradiology company. So again, I've always been on the business side of this. So in terms of CEO, the most important roles are developing strategy, fundraising, setting company policy and direction. And we're a small company, so you become a chief coke and bottle washer, but helping anything I can do. A lot of my some of the accomplishments is the ability for us as a small company to work with some very large ones. We mentioned working with Cigna and Anthem. We've got some pretty exciting opportunities in front of us too. So just I don't know that there's always a clear path to CEO. Part of it's being in the right place at the right time, and having a little bit of a vision. But a lot of the vision really started with the company founders that thought to develop the service. As far as we know, we're the only ones. There's plenty of folks now out there offering teledentistry. Most of them are offering a software product for dentists to provide to their own patients. Nobody else has built this national network of dentists, providing, teledentistry 24/7 in all 50 states. So it's nice to be in that position.
Yeah, you also, you have the name, the TeleDentist. That's
That's an asset also.
that's a big help. And now, how big is your team?
The company has 11 employees altogether, but part of that is we actually do have one brick and mortar site. working in conjunction with Cernacorp, we've stood up, in their employee health center in St. Louis, we've stood up a dental suite. So we're providing actual on-site dental services during the day and supporting that with teledentistry, nights and weekends. But again, it's a small team. We're hoping to expand. Again, we've got some exciting things in the hopper for this year that will include expanding our team.
Now, are most other health professions using telemedicine? Are physicians, were they way ahead of dentists and had been using this for a long time, or did they start to use it more during Corona?
Well, telemedicine has been around, 20 or 30 years, but really, certainly during the Corona pandemic, being used by lots of folks. I mean, you've got a couple of commercial telehealth companies, like the TeleDocs and the Amwells and the Doctors on Demand that are, standalone companies. Some of them have, they're publicly traded companies now with billion-dollar valuations. In addition, more than 50% of the hospitals in the country are offering telehealth, many times using their own physicians, sometimes partnering with the telehealth companies to supplement their physicians. And then you've got plenty of other medical specialties involved in telehealth. The one that's really taken off, before the pandemic, but certainly, during it, is the ability to provide mental health services through a remote connection. But then you've got dermatology, ophthalmology, cardiology, certainly radiology. So plenty of specialty services also. And the good news is patients love it. Our patient satisfaction scores are through the roof, but the convenience to a patient, it's snowing outside today. If I was to have a toothache and really all I needed was a antibiotic, much more convenient to have a 5 to 10 minute conversation with a dentist, get a prescription sent to my local pharmacy, rather than having to, get scheduled to see a dentist, you travel to their office, wait in their office to have that exact same conversation. So as patients have experienced telehealth for, other reasons, it's not foreign to them to, to also experience teledentistry.
I still have some patients that still just don't feel comfortable coming in. They're waiting for their vaccine and just aren't comfortable yet. So
you can still see them. You can help them decide if it's really necessary to come in. And again, the time saving on your side, because, as far as the dentist is concerned, save your chair time for those patients that really need a procedure. And, for ones that don't, you can, provide them with significant assistance, all using a video platform.
Is this a platform that I can turn on and off? So let's say I was booked all day, but then I had a, hour and a half broken appointment or cancellation, and I have the time and I can start doing teledentistry consults and just turn the platform on.
Sure.
Can I set specific hours?
You can set a schedule, you can set hours. Many of our dentists have built this into their websites to, to be able to see a dentist now. But even with that, the appointment can either be on demand or scheduled. So patient says, I want to see a dentist. They can, get access to a schedule, and see what the openings are for a teledentistry visit. The other thing you can do is, it's possible that there's some conversations that can occur with your office staff or your hygienist that may not require your immediate attention, or the conversation can start with the office staff and you'll come in for the last literally 2 minutes to confirm what your staff has told you, but to make the final sign off. The other
Yeah.
neat thing is that, especially with a new patient, they're not encountering you for the first time behind your full PPE. It's not just seeing your eyes in the mask and all of that scary stuff where the patient is nervous anyway, but have that face-to-face conversation, which will make the patient a lot more comfortable when they do come see you.
It's so true. I mean, some of my new patients that I've seen this past year, I've never really seen my full face, although people say I'm quite handsome from my eyes up, so it actually works out as a benefit. But now, can you actually can I set, like, what's your typical appointment? Can I set them in 15-minute intervals, 20-minute intervals, half an hour? Is it all customizable?
Yes, yes. I mean,
And,
again, usually it's, setting aside a block of time,
mhm.
but, we'll work, can work with your scheduling system. So sure.
So I could actually have, an hour and I could see, 3 patients. You know, like in the chair though, sometimes you get this very long-winded patient. Does it like, if we start to run over and I'm running into the next appointment, does it like just shut off, or does it warn the patient?
You would probably have to hit the button to shut it off. Our average session length is really between 7 and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, if you're scheduling 15 minutes, that'll be plenty.
Yeah.
You do have some frequent flyers that like to keep coming back. So you want to be a little careful with that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are looking for some social interaction that
Absolutely.
have been cooped up. Now, what's the legality of all this? In dentistry, for me to really diagnose, I need to see that patient. I need to look in the mouth. If I need an X-ray. How does all this work with legally?
Well, first thing is we want you to check with your malpractice carrier to make sure that your malpractice insurance will cover teledentistry. We also encourage our dentists to be cautious, not to, overdiagnose or overprescribe. If you don't have enough information, I don't know is an acceptable answer. But again, you want to take it as far as you're comfortable, but there's nothing illegal about practicing this way.
Okay.
You know what you can do with a conversation without having that X-ray.
Yeah, that's a good point. And if I guess if it's like a legal document, you've had this recorded conversation, so you want to make it very clear that to the patient, we really need to eventually get you in the office to take a look at this and get an X-ray.
Well, interestingly, while we have the ability to record the conversation, we don't keep a record of the conversation. Similarly to, you don't keep a record of your phone calls with a patient.
Correct.
But we do have a patient record, so the encounter is documented. And
Okay.
that's a legal record.
Okay. I think this would be, great for a new office that's starting up to get new patients. It's great for marketing. Like you said, it's a great way to meet.
Let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, one of the things we found, it doesn't market itself. If you have the ability, you still need to let people know that it exists. Just sticking it on your website, probably not sufficient. But we help the dentists with with social media. We have templates for press releases. We spoke, about you, you, offering discounts for the service. What we'd really like to do is to help the dentist with promoting the service and holding their hands a little bit in terms of letting their community know that it exists. And the other thing is, it now reaches beyond your community. You can provide the service for a patient anywhere in your state. So if you're up in Western Massachusetts, there's no reason why you couldn't be helping patients in Boston or Springfield or Cape Cod, or or even if somebody is traveling and ending up in Cape Cod, you can provide them with support. Which again, these are patients who you wouldn't ordinarily see just looking you up in the yellow pages, or even by Google saying, I want to find a dentist near me. And we're finding people are Googling now, I want to find a dentist that offers teledentistry. That'll come up in a search.
Yeah, and ultimately, especially if you're a new practice, a young dentist, and you treat that patient well on the teledentistry conversation, there's a good chance they will actually become a real, life, live patient once they're feeling comfortable coming into your office.
Not only will they become a lifetime patient, but they'll tell their friends,
Yep.
And their family. So who knows how much that one patient can be worth.
Yep. I think, that along with if you had, because there's so many patients, so much of the population doesn't have dental insurance, that if you had this along with a membership plan, you could really set yourself apart from a lot of other offices, and really start to get some new patients in.
And the statistics about how many people have not seen a dentist during the pandemic. I mean, half the population doesn't have a regular dental relationship, but in terms of people avoiding the dentist, during the pandemic, is significant.
Is there a way that I can have like a three-way conversation with the patient and a specialist?
Yes. And even a four-way conversation with a patient and a healthcare provider. I mean, if I've had a conversation, helping my mother, and having a dentist. So it absolutely could be a specialist, or it could be another family member, or even a physician. That somebody, having a doctor's appointment, and it's the doctor that says, hey, you really have a condition that should be looked at by a dentist. So that's a possibility also.
Yeah, I was thinking that, even with, like the local oral surgeon, if I had something I just wasn't sure of, and I could get, the oral surgeon on a three-way call, or their physician, it's pretty convenient for everyone.
And, I mean, again, if they're in your office, you could still use this. Bring in that oral surgeon. You could immediately share their X-rays, and that oral surgeon may help the, patient decide, hey, maybe they do need implants, or they do need surgery.
Now, for example, what you just said, they're sharing the X-ray. Is that done through the TeleDentist portal, or is it is? Okay, so that's a
you can upload any type of document. So it could be an image, it could be a report, and it could be a picture. I mean, we do have patients taking their phones and sticking it in their mouth. And we're just about to start working with a company that has developed an illuminated tongue depressor, which, when it attaches to your iPhone, takes wonderful pictures of the inside of the mouth. And that's one of the new developments we'll be working on this year.
Because that is so important for the patient. It's so hard for them to get a a decent picture inside their mouth, that's going to be really helpful for them and for the dentist to help the patient. So we've been talking, mainly about the United States. What about developing countries where, there could be, a dentist, 3 hours away? As long as there's good Wi-Fi, this could be really helpful for a lot of other countries.
Okay, so a couple of things about that. We do have a Spanish language version of our website and our service, and we've been talking to people in Latin American countries. So we think
Mm-hmm.
certainly, yes, the opportunity is worldwide, and there's plenty of people around the world who would like to be able to access the expertise of US-based dentists. One of the things we see as a real good opportunity is to be able to provide a dental second opinion. I mean, what I've seen in some underdeveloped countries, they may have good general dentists, but what you talked about, Eric, a little while back in terms of a specialist, maybe that, in that country, they want to be able to get a second opinion of a qualified specialist to be able to help the patient. So, this, I mean, the opportunity is limitless. I mean, it could be really helping the underserved that don't have access to dental care, or we've had conversations with people in the Middle East where money is no object. They don't have the expertise, but they want to be able to, bring in that expertise through a video connection.
Mm-hmm.
All of the above is possible.
Or you have even in the States, you have a patient that's handicapped and they physically can't get to the office. They're elderly.
Somebody that is mobility challenged.
Yeah.
And a lot of telehealth really grew up in rural areas where, it still exists that somebody now may need to travel 2 or 3 hours just to see a dentist. And this becomes a triage, let's screen them, see, is that trip really necessary?
What about in the schools or even in like the prison systems? Because I had a good friend of mine. He was a sheriff in a local prison system in here, and the dental care there is just like non-existent. It would take them 3 months. They could have an abscess, like the size of a coconut in their face, and it would be 3 months before they could see a dentist. So it just seems like there's so many opportunities for people to get even screened through this platform.
All of the above. I mean, in the prisons, think about how expensive it is to transport a prisoner from the prison to the dentist. And maybe the dentist shows up once a month in a prison, and
Yep.
So prisons, schools, college campuses, nursing homes. Again, there is no limit.
I was also thinking sleep apnea. Personally, I would not be able to sleep in a sleep clinic with with cameras and wires on me. I need to be at home. Are you seeing opportunities for sleep apnea to be able to watch patients?
There are.
Patterns while
We've spoken with companies doing that. We're not currently offering that service, but the same technology can do that. Another thing that's interesting is we're working with several companies that have products that they want to provide, specialty products, patients with dry mouth, or patients with TMJ, and they've developed products specifically for that. And given our network, we have the ability to write prescriptions for subscription-based products in all 50 states. I like to call that a e-commerce capability, but the ability through our site to provide dental products, especially prescription-based products, and we've started to do
That's amazing. Now you mentioned something when we were chatting earlier that I think is so cool. You've almost created this like second career or second opportunity for retired and disabled dentists. Can you go into that a bit?
that. Absolutely. I think we mentioned our network now is close to 300 dentists. And when somebody says, why does somebody want to do teledentistry? I say, well, we probably have 300 reasons. And we've got all types. We've got academics that still want to stay involved with patients. We've got work at home moms that want to be there when the school bus comes home, but still available to talk to patients. But the two groups that you mentioned, we are working with two organizations. One is the Association of Retiring Dentists, and the other is the Association of Disabled Dentists. And there's plenty of dentists out there that still have all of the mental capability to have a very positive, encounter with a patient, but maybe either not the manual dexterity anymore, or not the interest in still maintaining a physical practice. Providing teledentistry is a great transition to that, retiring or disabled dentists, and we're happy to work with them. We're as thrilled with the fact that they're able to help us, and we also know that we're helping them too.
I think that's awesome. Now, these dentists, they still need to be licensed and have malpractice insurance.
Exactly. They still maintain their license and their insurance. And our company does provide, insurance also, but the dentists, in addition to the company insurance, the dentists have to have their own insurance.
Now, this could also be, great for, let's say, someone that is, not necessarily retired, but it's looking to slow down, drop some clinical days. Maybe they're just physically, or mentally burned out from the stresses of the office. Their back hurts, their neck hurts. This is a way where they can still practice dentistry. Or I was thinking,
and at the opposite end of the spectrum, for that dentist just getting started in their business, but has some extra time in their schedule, and is looking to pick up a little bit of additional income.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, a young dentist that's getting out that has those bills to pay and those loans to pay, and they're working part-time or they have some extra hours. This would be perfect for them. Now, are you legally obligated to stick with this patient? Like, what if you have a patient that you can tell is not going to be a good fit? It just seems like maybe they're little too
we really don't stick with the patient. Like I mentioned early on, our process is we remediate, prescribe, and then we're going to actually recommend that patient to find a dental home. And that's important for us. We want that patient to find a dental home, and we'll help them do that. But we don't have, at this point, an ongoing relationship with that patient.
Okay. Because ultimately, if the dentist, this could be a patient that they're having a conversation with, and if they don't feel like they're a good fit for their office, they're not obligated to have that patient become a live patient in their office.
But ultimately, that patient does need to end up in the dentist chair.
Correct. Okay, Howard, thank you so much. Again, Howard Reis, the CEO of the TeleDentists. And you can go to Deals for Dentists and you can find out how you can offer teledentistry as a service to your patients. Howard, any last words of wisdom or nuggets for those young dentists out there?
It's a brave new world, and we didn't anticipate what the last year was going to look like, but we talked about some of the potential here. We're finding new opportunities all the time. So again, dentistry has been a little bit overlooked in terms of the revolution that's happened in telehealth. But we're happy to be here and excited about continuing to explore all of the opportunities that this represents.
All
And
right,
Eric, thank you
great.
for the opportunity.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, let's be in touch. This is great.
Thanks so much.
Okay, Howard, take care.